Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today to paint this beautiful, lovely night canvas. Make sure you have your workspace set up. You're going to want to cover your table. Wearing a smock or art clothes is always recommended when we're using acrylic paint. You can unpack all the supplies from your bag and set up your workspace with a paper plate, a bowl of water, and some paper towels for rinsing brushes. We have a sample here in the beginning so you can kind of get an idea about how the finished canvas is going to look. But at any point, if you'd like to change or modify the way that you're painting this canvas, feel free to add or take out any of the following steps. The first thing we're going to do is work on the background of our canvas. I'm just getting my brush nice and wet here. We're going to be using the dark blue from our kit to fill in all the space that's in the top half of the canvas, being careful to avoid our polar bear. If you'd like, you can also take this dark blue color and wrap it around the sides of your canvas, which you'll see I'll do in just a moment. Now that we have our whole entire sky pretty much covered in blue, without rinsing your brush, we're just gonna grab a little bit of white paint and we're gonna start to blend this into the sky. Now you can add this wherever you want. For starters, it's gonna help to kind of smooth out some of the brush strokes that we have in this blue sky. And it's also gonna add some textural interest into the sky. So feel free to go ahead and add that white wherever you'd like. I'm gonna do a little bit up near the top and probably just add a little bit down here by the bottom as well. If you feel like you've added too much white and your sky is lighter than you want, just let it dry for a minute and you can always add another layer of blue in there. And vice versa. If you think your sky's a bit too dark, feel free to add a little more white. Now that my sky is just the way I'd like it, I'm gonna go ahead and flip my brush over and use the bottom end of my brush to create some stars in the sky. If you're feeling brave and you get the okay, you can try to flick some paint into the sky area as well to create some smaller stars. I'm gonna skip that step. It is a little bit messy. If you decide to do it, you may wanna take your canvas outside. But using the bottom of the brush and creating small stars is just as effective. can go ahead and rinse out that big brush, as we're going to be working on the snow area that's below the bear, and we want our brush to be nice and clean so that our white snow stays white for now. Once you have your brush clean, you're going to go ahead and grab some white and fill in the area below your bear. Once you have the entire area, snow area, filled in with white, we're going to go ahead and grab some blue and do some shading below the bear so it looks like he's sitting in the snow. Same as the step in the sky, if you think you need a little bit of a darker shaded area, you can always add a little more blue. And if you think you've added too much, go ahead and add some white back in. Continue playing with the snow until you feel like it's exactly the shade of white and blue that you want. Our next step is going to be to paint our polar bear white, so it's really important that we get all of the blue out of our brush. If you need to take your brush to the sink to do this, sometimes it's easier. We're going to start out by painting our polar bear entirely white. This is going to give us a nice base that we can use when we go in to do our shading. You can use your big brush, but when you get to the smaller areas, like the ears, you may want to switch to your smaller brush. Since I already had some white on my small brush, what we're gonna do now is just add a teensy dot of black into some of our white to create a nice light gray. This is gonna be the first layer of shading. We are going to go back and shade some of these areas again to make them a little darker. So this step is really about adding a light amount of shading to the areas around the polar bear's legs and under his head. Make sure that you create a nice light gray. You can always make it darker. We'll be using our small brush again and some black to add the fine details on our bear. His eyes, nose, mouth, paw pads, inside of his ears are all going to be black. If it's too hard to add these details with your small brush, you can always give your canvas a little time to dry and add these details with a Sharpie marker from home. Take the small amount of remaining black you have on your brush and add it into the original mixture that we used for the shading. We are going to go back and add the deepest shadows to our bear. Follow along and see if you can shade the darkest areas between his legs and under his chin. Our last step will be adding some white details to our sky. I've chosen to create a heart constellation, and I'm going to add a couple of pretty stars, but you can add anything you like in your night sky. Before you rinse your brush, make sure to add a small highlight on each eye and a small highlight on your bear's nose. Thank you so much for painting with us today. As always, if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us via email or on social media. We hope you had the best time creating with us today. Have fun!